Welcome in, everybody, to race number 4 of the Friday Night Rush Hour Series presented by DegaPros. Joining me in the booth tonight is Ethan Eckert once again, just like last week, and someone making a somewhat return from a slight hiatus in broadcasting. Dawson Wise is back after doing it last night as well. So we're definitely looking forward to that so far. We will get words with them at some point soon, but we're going to go ahead and toss it to the grid right here and see what we've got cooking up for you tonight. We got Kenny McCullough up on the pole. How about that for Kenny? That's kind of the first time in a long time for him being up on the pole. It's cool to see that. Hunter Hastings in second. Vicente Guerrero for Nightmare Esports in third. Chris Melton in fourth. Asher Little in fifth. Josh Giambroni sixth. Aubrey Thompson seventh. Sean Corbett eighth. J.R. Miller in ninth. And Nathan Harper will round out the top 10.
Well, Landon, so good to be with you tonight. Starting on row number 6 in this one, it's going to be Brian Hennings for Team PGR alongside Dylan Jones in the 25. Row 7 will be Matt Lee for MBG Motorsports and Scott McLean in the 58. Row number 8, it's Papa Maines. It's Jason Maines in the 12. He'll start 15th. It's Ron Morris, the man over Tuesday Night Thunder. He'll start 16th in the 76. Row 9, it's Nightmare entry Chase Mistretta in the 17th position. And Jeremy Osborne for Blind Squirrel Racing. He'll roll from 18th outside row number 9. And row number 10, running out our top 20, James Warren in the 13, also sporting a Blind Squirrel Racing designation tonight. And Matthew Baker for MBG Motorsports, one of our race controllers next week for the PGR 500. He'll start from position number 20.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for letting me come out here and help you guys out. Starting off with row 11, we have Heath Job, new owner of Hyper Motorsports, alongside James Wagner. Mark Vondel's going to be starting in 23rd. 23rd, and Devin Hernandez will be starting in 24th. Derek Rowley, John Herbert, also a Hyper Motorsports driver, will round out row 13. Michael Wingo and Jeff Merck for MBG will be on row 14. And John Ward, the guy that runs this, is going to be starting in 29th alongside Josh McCullough from McCullough Motorsports. Ambrose Knable is going to round out the field.
So there we go, a grid of 31 drivers here tonight. So we're going to pull up the race info very quickly for y'all and then get some words with my co-commentators, see what they expect for this one. It's the Xfinity Series here tonight. 50 laps once again, 40% fuel tanks, unlimited tire sets as always, no fast repair, fixed setups, and 3 attempts at an overtime. I'm going to start with Dawson. You know, I don't know if you've been tuning into this series recently, but we've had some pretty good races so far. Lots of clean racing. Definitely not what we had last night, just to kind of bring that one up. But this series has been just a ton of fun to sit here and broadcast, especially last week. A bunch of strategy going on and just everything of the like. Everything you want to see in the race is what we've had so far. So do you have any expectations here for this Xfinity car and this group of guys here tonight?
Well, it's going to be interesting. This car presented some issues last night in the Intimidator Superspeedway Series race with some connection deals and some weird looks on the part of guys that were on the racetrack. So interested to see how that translates into tonight's race. But strategy races, man, I love them. They're my favorite. You hear me talk about it every time I'm up here. We get to green flag pit stops. I love that kind of racing. I love it when I'm in the car. I love it when I'm up here as well. Can't wait to crunch some fuel numbers, hopefully, in this one.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. As recently as Dawson said, the net code in this car has been terrible. Hopefully that's not going to be an issue tonight.
Yeah, all we can do is really hope and pray, because it definitely has been egregious the past couple races we've done, and it's just a product of iRacing, something you have to deal with sometimes, and some cars are worse than others, and the Xfinity car is certainly topping that list, at least in the context of what we do on a nightly basis. But here we go. The pace car is going to roll into pit road this time by for Kenny McCullough and Hunter Hastings on the front row in the 03 and the 44, going to be leading them to the green flag in this 50-lap event. We're closing in on the end of the regular season in this series. There's only one more shot for these guys to get themselves into the championship event, and we'll see who can do that here tonight. Kenny McCullough into the restart zone this time by. The green flag is out. We are racing here at Talladega. Going to be rounding off lap 1 here with a bit of a drag race between the 03 and the 44 of McCullough and Hastings. Looks like Hunter Hastings is going to be able to lead lap 1 here as they head into turn number 1.
I'll tell you what, Landon, it looks to me a lot like last night's race. A bit of a tame start out back. The NBG teammates were kind of starting to form something, but not a lot of help out back. And maybe a symptom of a light field, perhaps. Not a ton of cars behind them, but James Wagner's one of them, and there they go. It's the NBG teammates. Now they're 12 rows deep, 13 rows deep. They're going to try it anyway. Really nice pushes up front, and again, like last night, the bottom line was really strong, especially early on in the race, and once the lines got sorted out into a restart cycle, about 3 laps in, that bottom lane became super dominant. It's really good for Kenny McCullough right now, one of the best pushers in the game. Vicente Guerrero for Nightmare on the back bumper. Got to be a nice sight to see for Kenny McCullough.
Yeah, it's looking like Kenny's doing pretty good up there leading. Vince is doing a great job pushing. Hunter Hastings is going to lead the lap there, and we have the MBG boys trying to take it top 3, trying to make something work.
Yeah, we'll say Jason Maines, too, hopped up immediately right there. No number showing up on Papa Maines' car, as Dawson referred to him as earlier, but he's leading that train up there, up top in the 3rd, and there goes Chris Melton up top, too, in a new numbered 52 car for the R&R boys, and he's going to take a charge at leading that 3rd line. There's Aubrey Thompson in the 15. How about that? That kind of Dale Earnhardt tribute for McCullough Motorsports. Haven't seen him in a while. He's back there, 3rd in line in the middle, and we've got 3x3 racing already here on lap 3. How fitting.
Yeah, I love it here tonight. And last night we kind of saw this, but it was a little later in the race. We had a couple caution cycles before guys even tried the 3rd lane, but a little bit wider, more room to work, and a couple guys towards the back. You know, Jason Maines, Matthew Baker, Jeff Merck, J.R. Miller that don't like to sit in the back. Let's be honest, no one really likes to sit in the back of these fields. And you see Matthew Baker, look where he slots in. He was all the way back in 25th. He slots in the 13th position. He gained half of the track position that was available in front of him. But I'll tell you what, Melton Maines, they're going to stay committed to it, and they're making it work. But that middle lane surged back big. You notice that big push for the 44 of Hastings. That's Jambroni, the new addition for Nightmare eSports, and Aubrey Thompson, 2 guys also having Aubrey Thompson a resurgence. Josh Jambroni having a solid couple weeks. But Chris Melton, 52, Jason Maines, 12 on the outside, 3x3, 5 rows deep for the lead.
Yeah, I think Josh Jambroni is going to be a really big factor in tonight's race. As you said, he's a new member of Nightmare, which they're a very top competitive team. He's pushing Hastings right now. But that top lane is looking fast with Chris Melton and Jason Maines, and Richard Elliott's right behind them.
It is looking extremely speedy up there for these boys. Chris Melton's going to take the lead on that 3rd lane with the push from Jason Maines, that Lennox red, white, and black number 12 car that we can't see on there. But like you said, you alluded to Josh Jambroni. He's someone ever since he joined Nightmare eSports, honestly, before that, someone that was kind of on a resurgence in a way. He was on Logan York's team, the Probably Band group. He made the move over to Nightmare eSports. Since then, he's been cashing left and right. A little bit of bad luck as of recent, but right now he had a good starting position. He still sits in that starting position. He dropped one right there in 7th place now, but 3rd in line in the middle, he's definitely going to be one to watch out for, that number 49.
I'll tell you, the guy I'm watching right now is Chris Melton for the R&R team. That was a confident run to the top. You saw him make the really bold move earlier out in front of Jason Maines, and he gets all the way to the lead now, controlling that middle lane. Although, topside, look out. It's Jason Maines pushed by Ron Morris, 2 of the veterans of Money Racing on the outside lane. Melton goes bottom. Kenny McCullough takes some contact from Vicente Guerrero, but they get it sorted out. Allows the middle lane to roll, the top lane to roll. New leader at Talladega, Jason Maines, and on the outside, Ron Morris, Derek Riley, a who's who of Money Racing veterans coming up the outside on the 3rd line.
Yeah, Jason Maines was really competitive last week and was the early front runner to win the race. With the way it's looking, he's looking like the early front runner again. Hopefully he can hold on to it and get it up there for another top 3 finish like he did last week.
Yeah, like I said, a P2 finish for Jason Maines last week. He's going for more. He's in P1 right now. We still got 45 laps to go, coming to 44 here, so obviously a long race ahead of us, but a good run so far early for Jason Maines, who started quite far in the back, hopped up in front of Matthew Baker, and took advantage of that 3rd line and the speed that it has to take the lead away from Chris Melton, but Melton's fighting back there on the bottom in 1.
Yeah, he's fighting back big time. And again, this kind of goes into what I saw last night with Austin in the booth, and we both noted it. The bottom was so good in last night's race. I'm not sure what went into it. It's kind of new to what we're used to in this car, it's usually the middle is the place to be. But last night and now so far today, the bottom lane has been the most dominant one. Well, the top lane's contending as well. And it's Derek Raleigh that may take a trip out front with James Wagner, J.R. Miller, a couple of others in behind him. Looks like Ambrose Kniebel's trying to come to the front as well in that red and white 04 for Blind Squirrel Racing. Meanwhile, a couple guys dropped to the bottom. You notice Matthew Baker, Jeff Merck. That tells me either number one, they're trying to keep it calm, or number two, we may be approaching a pit stop cycle. I'm leaning more towards option number one because things are getting a little bit more boisterous up front here.
Yeah, I think they're trying to pick up their teammate Nathan Harper and trying to get Matt Lee in a better position to work with them. Though Nathan Harper's a newer addition to MBG. I mean, it's not yet official, but he's been running with them for the past 2 weeks. He's been doing really, really, really great with Baker and Merck. So those four will be a huge threat in this race.
Yeah, 100%. We see a couple guys that we should mention. You mentioned MBG, obviously the group of Harper, Lee, Baker, Merck. Also Brian Hennings, it appears, will be running with that group tonight. I remember being told of that earlier. And then you got the three nightmare entries of Chase Mastretta, Josh Jambroni, and Vicente Guerrero. So I think it's kind of maybe going to be a little bit of a battle of the titans. Oh, trouble!
Sorry to cut you off. It's Aubrey Thompson, I think, is the car that got around.
Yeah, we see Jeff Merck in the number 60 spinning out right here in the middle of the tri-oval. Lap number 9, the first yellow flag of the evening. Jeff Merck, it looked like getting spun out in the tri-oval. We're going to go ahead and take a look at this. Dawson made mention of something with Aubrey Thompson, the number 15 machine. Let's see what went wrong here. Looks like we got Jonathan Herbert in the number 87 machine, trying to find a spot in line down in front of Aubrey Thompson, and the spot just closes up for him right there. It wasn't exactly there for that number 87. That's going to spin Aubrey Thompson down into the tri-oval. Looks like he's going to get away okay, but then further up, Jeff Merck spinning in the middle of the tri-oval, going to get a little bit of contact from John Ward in the number 92. Jonathan Herbert's going to save it. There's Chase Mastretta in the 8, Scott McLean in the 58, doing a great job of missing this one. This could have been a lot bigger wreck here, and only really 2 cars it looks like going to be at least having a little bit of damage here. I mean, John Ward looks like he got a little bit of nose contact, but he should be all good. Jeff Merck with a bit of a dented in rear bumper right here. But other than that, I think we're going to get away from this one okay, Dawson.
Yeah, it's a tough break for Jonathan Herbert. As a driver, you know, when that gap opens up and you see it, you got to make a gamble. If it's not one of your teammates that you're communicating with, obviously you have to kind of gamble and hope that guy either A, lifts out of the gas and cuts you a break, or B, that gap doesn't close on you before you can move down. And unfortunately, for Herbert, it kind of all happened at once. Aubrey Thompson kind of gets away lucky there, goes left instead of right. And then for Merck and Ward, it looks like to me, they may have ghosted through each other a little bit, although Merck's car appears to be hopping a little bit. Merck may have some severe damage, so possibly a derailed night for Jeff Merck, but John Ward appeared to get away pretty lucky there, pretty unscathed, and yeah, that could have been a lot bigger. When Thompson and Merck got sideways, I thought we were going to be dealing with a much bigger incident.
Yeah, it looked like everyone got away rather lucky with that. That could have been huge. It happened right in the middle of the field. That could have went wrong in many different ways. Here they are coming on the pit road. Let's do wins the race out.
Yeah, big little bit of contact right here between these guys, but yeah, getting away okay. So for an early caution like we had right here, I'm going to appreciate the fact that we did not have the big one like has kind of been happening early on in money races in every series that we've been running as of recent. Only 3 cars involved, and everyone straightens it back out and gets away A-okay. But as Ethan was alluding to, let's take it back live. Not much more to see right here. We see Jeff Merck in the pits getting damage repaired. Jason Maynes is going to lead him off of pit road, followed by Kenny McCullough, Ron Morris, Vicente Guerrero, Asher Little, Brian Hennings, Hunter Hastings, Derek Raleigh, Nathan Harper, and Christopher Melton. We'll round out the top 10, and I want to see if we can go ahead and grab a quick interview with somebody. I got a great idea. You know what? I know I promised this man one earlier, and I'm going to give him one. Let's have a word with Ambrose Kniebel in the number 04 machine. Ambrose! Oh, there's his soundboard going off. So, Ambrose Kniebel, you're sitting in,
yes,
where are you right now? You are 21st. You got away from that wreck A-okay. Walk us through your race so far and what your expectations are for the rest of it.
Oh, my expectations are avoid the next 5 wrecks. And just... Actually, everybody's been racing really well, so...
That's always good news to hear. And right now, you are kind of in the middle of the field right now, sitting in P20. Do you want to try and take it easy right here, or do you want to try and make an advance towards the front?
No, the way the race has been going, I think I want to advance. Because, man, it's been kind of a wreck fest here. So, I'm going to go on get.
There we go. Some great words from Ambrose Knable. That is his plan out there on the racetrack. We appreciate you talking to us.
Thank you, sir.
There we go. The always interesting Ambrose Knable to have a word with. We've seen a lot of him in the past during money races. He, not to expose anything, he's been known to enjoy a drink or two while he's racing out on the racetrack, and honestly, it makes him good. It makes him locked in a lot of the time. Sometimes, maybe not so much. But right now, he's sitting in P20. We'll see how he will continue on later in this race. So, Dawson, 9 laps in, we have our first caution. I don't know if this introduces any sort of strategy. We know that we have 40% in the fuel tanks, which is not a lot. That's pretty much a light load. But like we had I think we had 3 pit stops last week, something along those lines. This kind of caution, that's going to reshape the strategy here. But everyone came in pit. Who knows, we're going to have a fuel race here on our hands. I don't really know what to expect, but I know what you want. You want that fuel race to end up happening right here, and who knows, we might get it.
Yeah, so, John Ward series in the past as well, when I did the little guy series a while back, they had this small fuel tank as well for this reason, to make it a fuel race. And 45%, 40% in this car is going to only be about 15 laps, maybe even less. So we're looking at very much a strategy race here, a couple stops left, and should be a good one. Again, my favorite kind of racing. We were very close to our first cycle right there. You could tell, Herbert coming down, the MVG guys coming down. Guys are starting to line up, starting to position themselves for pit stops. We were very close there. These guys have a grasp on how far they can go now. I'm kind of curious, do they tame it down? Do they try to get to that pit stop? I know guys wanted to do that last night from what I heard from the drivers, so we'll see if many of these guys were in the field last night. We'll see if they want to do that again tonight.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Nightmare and MBG's working together again like they were last week. If they are, they're going to be very unstoppable at the front of the pack, as Jason's going to lead them to the green flag. They're coming to the restart zone. Green flag is out.
Oh, contact on the bottom. Ron, we're wrecking out back Heath Job. Heath Job just got turned into the outside wall in the back. He's going to keep it going he's going to keep it going. The yellow flag will not come out. There's only one car, and he didn't really fully spin out, but there's a massive checkup on the bottom involving Ron Morris and Derek Raleigh. Ron Morris has damage on the back of his number 0 machine down there, so kind of a hectic little restart we had right there. But right here, Kenny McCullough's going to get the push from Vicente Guerrero all the way clear. They're both going to clear heading into 3.
Yeah, again, 2 guys that are very familiar with super speedway racing, have been doing it for a long time. Outside, here comes NBG. It's Matt Baker and Matt Lee, the combination up top. And right as you talked about, Nightmare and NBG, Mistretta says, no, sir, I'm going to drop back down to the middle, out from behind the 0-4 and push Chris Melton instead. It's Jason Maines down to the middle. He jumps on the nose of Brian Hennings, a guy that we've said his name a lot the past couple weeks in the 74. Another one of those guys that's running with the NBG contingent tonight. He's going to push Jason all the way, maybe potentially to the lead. He will give that lap to the 12 of Jason Maines. 13 on the board, and still NBG up top. Man, their help abandoned them. They're going backwards, and backwards fast.
Yeah, that move to the top, the NBG did not work out. They got no one to go with them, which I don't know if I would have this early in the race. It's a little early, but then again, they also don't want to be sitting in the middle of the pack, which I don't blame them. So Jason, I think he's doing a really good job yet again, leading the lines, trying to control the lanes. Kenny's also doing a great job right up there with him.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of contact in that lime green number 41 blind squirrel racing machine, if I could talk tonight. Jeremy Osborne got a little sideways down there on the backstretch, almost hit Matthew Baker, and that did not help their efforts on that third line. They do have James Wagner in number 30 behind him. John Ward taking a peek at it as well. Hunter Hastings, we're going to go 4 wide right here at the exit of the tri-oval. Matthew Baker does not want to push Hunter Hastings, and he's going to go right around him. 4 wide heading into 1.
Oh, man, you love to see it. 4 wide racing at Talladega, but the NBG boys get split up. Matt Lee, they got a little spooked there by Hunter Hastings. He's going to drop back in. They're all going to probably drop in line here Man, I can't imagine the NBG team is very pleased with that Flex Seal Chevrolet right now. Up front, still pretty tame, not for long. NBG's got some help now. It's the new Nightmare Edition, Josh Jambroni, that jumps up. But does Baker commit to it? Does he stay up top? He has no choice. The lines fill in. 3x3 again. Oh, man. Jeremy Osborne may have looked there, whether intentionally or not, and they're starting to stack up in front of him. Don't be surprised if that 8 of Chase Mastretta. If they get there, he's going to take it. He sees his teammate. He sees him coming with a big run in the outside. Look for Nightmare to throw a 1-2 punch to the field here.
Yeah, it's looking like Josh might have had a bit too much of a run for Chase to jump up there, and he didn't want to wad them all up on lap 15. So it's Jambroni's looking like he has a huge run. He's coming to the front. He wants to lead laps. So does Baker.
Yeah, what a push from Matthew Baker in the number 5 to the back of Josh Jambroni in the 49. There's only the two of them. It wasn't working with the combo of Baker and Lee up there, but just the two of them, they are rolling, and Josh Jambroni's going to have a look at the lead heading into 3. Jason Maines is going to clear down. That's going to leave Brian Hennings in the number 74, the leader of the middle line, with Chris Melton in the 52 behind him. Josh Jambroni kind of losing that run a little bit, heading out of 4. Hunter Hastings going to get to the back bumper of Matt Baker. That's going to help them out, but who knows how Matthew Baker's temperatures are in that number 5.
I'll tell you what helped him on the top side, Landon. It was a couple things. I think, number one, the guys up front got a little lax with pushing. They saw the 2 wide form. There's no third line out there. I'm just going to kind of be a little bit further off, about a half a car length. We're going to relax. We're going to run some laps. And it takes time to build energy in these cars in those 2 middle lanes. And when that third lane comes with a big run, it takes a little bit longer for Melton and McCullough and Maines and Hennings to build that run back up. Also, add on the fact those 2 middle lanes, the middle and the bottom, may have been very hot. The track temp up close to 100 tonight. It was about 80 last night. We didn't see much problem with temps. Tonight, up closer to triple digits, we're definitely going to see problems with temps, especially in this car. I mean, I've heard complaints all week. This car has been getting hot really, really quick. When you're second, third, fourth in line even, guys, boiling hot. Just running like where Jeremy Osborne is now. It makes it really tough for those middle lanes to work, but good job by Melton and McCullough and Maines and Hennings to switch up the order and fend off that advance from the third line. But here comes another one. Jambroni going to take another look at it.
I think if Hunter Hastings can stay tucked up here on Matt Baker, that Jambroni's going to be able to get clear here within the next couple of laps. I was honestly kind of surprised Melton didn't hop up in front of Jambroni like he did earlier in the race to get the lead of the middle lane. But it's looking like the top side's not really going anywhere right now because Hunter Hastings won't stay tucked up against Baker, which would benefit them a ton. But, there's Jason clearing up. Yeah, that Jambroni's not going to get clear here now that Brian Hennings has fresh temps while Baker's probably overheating.
Baker's been pushing Jambroni for quite a while now. Ooh, little bit of a bad push from Brian Hennings to Jason Maines, but they sort that out. I'm seeing a lot of wiggling right here throughout the middle line and kind of the bottom, too. Just a lot going on. Not really solid formations by the 3 lines right now. That could be due to the track temp, like you mentioned. John Ward does have a habit of cranking up the track temp, making it take a little bit more skill to kind of control your tires, save your tires a little bit out here. Not that tire saving is a huge deal in super speedway racing, but it definitely can be if you're out here running green for quite a while and you can't have any help with those tires when they start getting torn apart on this very hot racetrack. 100 degrees, we have had hotter before, especially in PGR races, but that is no good combination with the Xfinity car. The Xfinity car is loose as it is, and then you add on the fact of the hot tires, the hot temperatures, and kind of just the general tire wear you'll have out here. That is definitely going to make it harder, not just for the bottom and the middle lines, especially that third line. Matthew Baker up there, he's already hot. You know, they need a lot more help right now to get that third line to go, and they might have it by accident as Chris Melton might shuffle out Brian Hennings. He's not going to. Brian's going to come back down. That's going to help that third a little bit out, but that you look at them all up there so loose right here. The 49, the 5, 44 in the back. That tire wear must be starting to get to them up there on that third line.
Kind of takes me back to last July in the SummerSlam 499 event where we saw that all week long. Guys getting into long tire runs, especially in our feature event. As the tires got older, man, those guys were all over the place. We're not seeing that so far tonight. Obviously, these guys, a little bit cooler track. It was about 130 degrees on that track that week, and you could really see guys getting out of shape, getting loose, and even wrecking, causing cautions. There's the jump by Chris Melton with We wondered when it was going to happen, but a bad push from Jambroni. It's going to take him a second to get wound up, and now, all of a sudden, Melton going to try for the lead once again. Leaves Jambroni as the pusher. Middle pusher is now Chase Mastretta, who's kind of just cycled his way to the front. Not really by accident, but just, hey, everybody else got out of the way, and now I'm up front on the bottom side. Again, that's a really good, really 1, 2, 3, 4 punch almost with Maines, McCullough, Guerrero, and Morris. 4 veterans, 4 steady-handed drivers on the bottom. They're going to get outbid, though. Hennings will get clear, and so, too, I think, will Chris Melton down to the middle.
Yeah, it's looking like Jambroni's going to get it. He's going to take it in front of his teammate of Chase Mastretta, and it's going to be a 1-2 nightmare on the middle lane, which is going to be huge for controlling lanes. If Chase can push Jambroni clear, that'll be able to probably park both of them, both of the lines, and that would work out really good for them up until pit stops.
Not a good move at all by Chris Melton right there. You want to go ahead and clear. Oh, Josh Jambroni gets hooked at the front of the pack by Brian Hennings. He's going to save it, and the field is going to fly apart. What a save by Josh Jambroni in the number 49. That's going to leave. Oh, Jeremy Osborne almost hooking it further. The field is all over the place. We got 4 wide, 5 wide, maybe even in the back.
Yeah, this is a scramble right here because when that happens, the entire field gets on the brakes. Everybody's trying to roll out of the throttle because they think a wreck's going to happen, and quite frankly, I did too. I had started to call out trouble. Major props to the Corona Toyota. Josh Jambroni, he was pointed at the campers on the infield of turns 1 and 2 and gets it righted back in front of the field, and nonetheless stays second in line behind Brian Hennings. His teammate Mastretta now will lead the race. Jason Maines, Matthew Baker, J.R. Miller in tow, and well, Jeremy Osborne, I give him props, but I don't know how patient Melton and Wagner, the teammates for R&R, are going to be on the top side.
Yeah, it's looking like Jeff Merck's going to go ahead and call it a day. He's going to help race control now. That's going to be a big help to Ward. He's going to be able to focus on racing instead of race controlling.
There we go, some news for the number 60, Jeff Merck pulling off the racetrack. He is done for the event, but back on track. That third line, Chris Melton still trying to work with Jeremy Osborne, but not a good connection at all by any means up there between the 41 and the 52. Every push that Melton gives the back of Osborne, it just sends him loose and sideways, but they're kind of maintaining where they are. Not a very organized group up there, but they are maintaining where they're at. If they can get connected, and connected well, they might make an advance for the lead here, but up front is all Chase Mastretta and Brian Hennings heading out of 4.
Yeah, and Chase is awfully lucky. I thought he was going to get up on Jason Maines' bumper right there, and instead he stays down. And Brian Hennings was about 6 inches from getting clear and jumping around the 8 car. Now he's got to back off. That's going to allow Maines to go back to the point. Baker will go to second. Man, Brian Hennings and Josh Jambroni are really struggling with handling now on that bottom line. Middle line hasn't done it quite as bad yet. And don't look now. That struggle on the third lane starting to come to an end. Jeremy Osborne, Chris Melton. Well, as soon as I say that, Melton jumps in line in behind Hunter Hastings.
Oh, contact in the back. There we go. James Wagner's around. Trying to find it right here. It looks like a big crash. They might actually save it. There goes.
They are going to save it.
They are going to save it. Derek Raleigh in the number 17.
Oh, now the caution flag is out.
Yellow flag flies on lap number 23. It was bound to happen at some point the way these guys are racing. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at what went wrong right here. This appeared that it originated around James Wagner. So we're going to take a look at the number 30 machine of Wagner. There was just kind of a lot going on here. So we saw Melton, his teammate, in the 52, hop down to the middle. He was well clear, no issue there. Derek Raleigh in the number 17 is behind James Wagner right here. It looks like he might actually give James Wagner a little bit of a push here. And it's going to send Wagner down the racetrack across the nose of Scott McLean. A little bit of netcode there. Scott McLean's going to come down. Great save by the 58, but then Raleigh's going to hit him again. Turns Wagner into the outside wall. That's going to spin Raleigh back down into McLean. McLean's going to hit the outside wall and then spin back down the racetrack and take a hit onto the inside wall here.
You know, yet again, this could have been a really big wreck, but it really wasn't. It happened around midfield yet again, and they kept it straight for the most part. No one looks to have too severe of damage. Wagner might have a little bit of wheel damage, but other than that, it looked all right.
I'll give some credit for the guys out back. Mark Vondell, Michael Wingo, John Ward, all jumping on the brakes early enough to miss that when it kind of started. They jumped on the brakes before anything could happen where they accordioned into the wreck, and really good job by those guys. Vondell especially, because I thought Mark Vondell was bound to the back of Derek Raleigh right there. Instead, they missed the wreck. Raleigh gets the inside wall, but could have been a lot worse once again.
What a save by Sean Corbin in the bottom of the number 45 machine as well. We just got to look at that. from our turn 3 view. Saw that wreck developing. He took it down to the bottom, got a little bit loose, but was able to save it. Great job by Sean Corbett, the number 45. But yeah, as y'all were saying, just some contact right there. I'm sure no ill will, no intent or anything like that. It's just a product of the racing. And Derek Rowley probably trying to help out the number 30 of James Wagner, get him a little bit of a run here, push him up to that 41 machine of Jeremy Osborne to try and advance the third line. It just ends very badly for these guys right here.
Another one of those tough breaks, man. Just as I had said something about the third lane, too, just like last night, Matthew Stolnick, luckily he overcame my commentator's curse. Well, I just gave another one right there to everybody in the third line. So I'm going to stop talking about specific drivers, specific lines coming forward. Apparently, it's really bad luck. But it's a tough break, but again, a tough break that could have ended a lot worse, I think, for the drivers involved. Derek Rowley, haven't gotten a chance to check on where he's at on track yet, but I'm assuming he's been able to stay in and, yeah, has minimal damage too. So it could have been a lot worse, and we've said that already once tonight at the halfway point.
This race has been fairly clean for the first 25 laps. We haven't got a green flag stop, which ain't that great, but it is what it is, and most of the cars are still clean. A lot of them seem to have a little bit of like rear end damage, but that's just from pushing. I think that has to do with how the net code's been recently, because usually this wouldn't happen. But like Jimbroni has some left rear, Brian Hennings has some rear end. Looks like Jason Maines might even have some. So I wonder if that's a product of net code again tonight.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because when we saw the 74 and the 49 of Hennings and Jimbroni, when they got getting loose in like every single corner, it seemed like, I noticed the damage on the back of their cars. These cars rely heavily on the rear aerodynamics. And if those get offset in any sort of way, you will notice it, because you will be spinning out in every corner, it feels like sometimes. And that where they have it, it is about in the worst position it could be, on the corners of each part of the rear end, the left side, the right side. That is not good by any means. See, there it is, Jason Maines, as Ethan alluded to as well. Right rear damage for Jason Maines, same for Brian Hennings, left rear for Josh Jimbroni. So got some damaged race cars up here, and they stayed out. They pit. They did not take their damage. They wanted to keep their track position, so we'll see if they'll continue to be able to handle it here.
I'll tell you what, it's been really interesting, and you know, sorry to interrupt, but it's been really interesting over the past week or so to see the extent of damage and the difference in damage, because, for example, Jason Maines, Brian Hennings both have that rear end damage. You know, some of us have had similar damage over the past 7 days, and we've been sitting on pit road for 6, 7, 8 laps at a time, trying to get it fixed under caution, with 17, 18 plus minutes of repairs to sit on pit road. But these guys, Hennings, Maines, appear to not even be affected by their damage. J.R. Miller's got a punched-in rear end. Jimbroni's got some rear end damage. They're unaffected, but then some of us that get in these wrecks, I mean, we're sitting on pit road losing 5 and 6 laps just to get it fixed. Just something interesting I've noticed over the course of the last week and a half.
Yeah, I wonder what's been causing that, because it's been very inconsistent as of recent. Like, as you said, some damage that barely even tapped the wheels. You have 6 minutes damage, and the car feels completely fine, just the wheels cranked 45 degrees to the left. The lights seem to be off. Chase chose the top to get lined up with his teammate Josh Jimbroni. I wonder if they're going to do what I said earlier and try to get each of them leading one line and try to just stack up the field and hold it that way.
I'm sure that is the expectation here, and I can speak from personal experience. I know Dawson can as well when it comes to the damage model in these Xfinity cars. You can take an extremely light hit, and it can be 20 minutes of damage, and your race is over. That's just the product of the new damage model since the update, and it just seems to, for some reason, be getting worse in this car. I sincerely hope iRacing can do something about that soon, but at least Josh Jimbroni, Jason Maines, Brian Hennings, they don't think their damage is bad enough to go out there and fix all their damage. They wanted to keep their track position and keep that as a priority, and that it's probably a good decision for them in the long run. They're just going to have a lot to hang on to. But anyway, Chase Mastretta, Jason Maines, Josh Jimbroni, Brian Hennings, J.R. Miller, the top 5 here. We'll see if the Nightmare Duo can get Chase Mastretta clear down to the bottom so they can control both of these lanes here. But what will Jason Maines have to say about that? They're rolling into the box now. Chase Mastretta is going to launch early into the box and be well clear of the bottom lane heading into 1.
Oh, it's a signature teammate move, a teammate restart. They're going to get actually both down here. I'm kind of surprised. We mentioned a minute ago they may try to park in front of both lanes instead. For now, for the moment at least, they're going to park on the bottom on the on the single yellow line. Used to a double yellow line. It's a single, and there it is. Chase Mastretta blocks to the top side, but kind of leaves his teammate hanging in the wind here. No help out back for Jambroni. Here comes the assistance in the form of J.R. Miller, Asher Little, a couple other cars. And for now, now Chase is going to come back down. Some interesting team strategy. And I'll tell you what, that move was because here comes the third lane. Baker, McCullough, Hunter Hastings, huge run. Matthew Baker for NBG may go to the point by the time they reach the front stretch.
Yeah, Baker and McCullough had a huge run there since McCullough didn't have that great of a restart. He had a ton of draft, pulled him right up there. And then him and Baker shot it 3 wide, and Baker was able to get clear of it. He's looking like he's going to lead this lap and hopefully disrupt the Nightmare teammates of Chase and Josh.
Yeah, that was a kind of odd restart we saw. The bottom line did not go at all. It just was able to clear the 8, the 49, and now that's how they sit as well, back how they initially restarted the race. And then with all this mess that we just saw in that first lap, the 3 wide and everything of that nature, there they are sitting back there on the bottom. And what they need more than anything right now is a strong run. Josh Jambroni needs to push Chase Mastretta clear in front of Matthew Baker to try and control these lanes for themselves. But Matthew Baker's definitely going to have something to say about that. So is Jason Maines. He might consider hopping up to the third line here.
I thought about it, but there's not enough help up there right now for anybody else to jump third lane. They're perfectly content. Jason Maines, Matthew Baker, a long history between those two, so no surprise. Jason Maines going to stick right on the back bumper of that number 5 machine. Top side, it's still McCullough and Hastings, and they're doing a good job of staying where they are, but the temps are going to run out quickly as Baker drops to the bottom, takes the point. Those temps are going to run out. They're going to need 1 more car. 2 more cars would be even better to jump out there with them, get that run going, get the energy moving in the right direction for now. Baker on the bottom, Mastretta and Jambroni, the teammates behind him. Top side, Jason Maines, Brian Hennings, Vicente Guerrero coming back to the front as well to 14. So Nightmare with a third car here coming to the front. All 3 entries inside the top 6.
Yeah, I'm really liking the move Baker made. It's trapped the Nightmare cars on the bottom. There ain't really much they can do unless their teammate of Vince is going to let them up, but I don't see that happening. Oh, and Chase was able to push Baker pretty far clear and got up himself, which that's going to put him back to the lead, and I wouldn't be surprised if he takes it down on that. Yeah, he's gonna go back to leading the bottom, but that's gonna split him and Jambroni up, and that isn't really gonna hurt his other teammate Vince, which I think is also trying to make his way up there to help them out.
What a move by Chase Mastretta in the number 8. It was a very tight clear across the nose of Jason Maines, and he timed it perfectly, just enough so he could go right back up and then go right back down in front of the nose of Matthew Baker. So he is still going to be leading right here. But like you said, it separated him and Jambroni in the number 49. If this bottom lane is as strong as it appears to be, there's a chance Matthew Baker is going to have an opportunity to hop back up in front of Jason Maines right here. But Josh Jambroni's kind of getting buried. So is J.R. Miller and Asher Little, the likes of these guys on the bottom. They need this line to advance, and it is advancing like crazy. They are 3 cars clear. There goes Josh Jambroni, and now Nightmare is back controlling lanes here with 20 to go.
Oh, it works out to perfection for Nightmare Esports after the restart that didn't go their way. Oh, man, Jambroni caught a push from Jason Maines. Great save by everybody involved. But as I was saying, they caught a bad restart, kind of just a tough break for those 2 teammates. And in the end, the bottom lane, like I said earlier, pushes its way clear. And look who's leading the middle now. It's again Nightmare Esports. Top side, some action. It's Brian Hennings, who's been running with NBG Motorsports tonight. A pair of NBG teammates, pseudo teammates, if you will, Matt Lee and Nathan Harper in the 7. And that's a strong 3-man trio. Hennings going to nose out front by the time they climb the banking.
Yeah, it's looking like NBG.
He's going to get turned.
Oh,
there goes Brian Hennings.
He's in the wall, and there's yellow.
Brian Hennings around, only 1 car involved. The yellow flag will fly for Brian Hennings, who gets turned what appeared to be off the nose of Matt Lee. Lots of damage to that right front wheel for Brian Hennings. Not a lot of cosmetic damage for him, but that wheel, that's going to be a lot of damage for him in the number 74 machine. Let's take a look and see just what went wrong here for Brian Hennings. So we see he's up here leading the third line, and he does have that damage. Lest we forget, we did mention his damage on that right rear. That could have contributed to this. Matt Lee trying to give him a little bit of a push. Looks like it might turn him sideways if there was even contact. We're going to need to see a better view of that. And then Brian's going to try and save it, do everything he can to save it, slap it up into the wall. And once again, nobody else involved in a very small crash for one to have happened in the third lane at the very front of the field here.
Well, it's a quick trigger caution by race control, but obviously with Hennings sideways across the field, can completely understand the decision. I'll tell you what I see looking close into those cars. I think it's our first bout tonight with this Xfinity Series netcode that we've seen over the past week. It looks to me the right front of Jambroni, the left rear of Hennings is where that big time netcode. I mean, that's 10 plus feet of netcode between the two lines in the middle and the top side. It looks to me like we had a bout with it there. Maybe not. It might have been handling on the 74 as well. But it looks to me that phantom contact, that netcode, appears to be the cause of this, the third caution of the night with 19 to go.
Yeah, and this netcode needs to get fixed soon because this B car is starting to get unrunnable. Like last night, there was over 5 cautions because of netcode, and it hasn't produced good racing. So I wonder if we're gonna maybe take a little bit of a break from the Xfinity car with how it's been running recently because of how iRacing's been.
Yeah, I do stand corrected on my initial take on what caused this crash. Apologies to Matthew Lee. He had nothing to do with it. This was either the handling going wrong on Brian Hennings or just atrocious netcode, which honestly wouldn't surprise me if it was the atrocious netcode, considering what we've been seeing. But we're going to go on board Brian Hennings right here and see if we can monitor his steering inputs when this happened and see if it was him getting loose or was it just netcode. And yeah, it's all netcode. He was not loose whatsoever. He did not try to correct that thing. He was steering just fine. And the netcode off the right front of Josh Jambroni sends him into the wall and will unfortunately end his night here.
Man, it's such a tough break. He was having a really, really nice run, and we had kind of gone without the netcode for most of the night. We talked about it. We noted it in the pre-race, but really hadn't had an issue with it. And unfortunately, it rears its ugly head at the worst possible time for Brian Hennings, a guy that's had so many good runs, cut short the past couple weeks. Another one here tonight, an unfortunate incident that only takes him out of the race. He's the only car involved in our third caution.
Yeah, that's tough luck for Brian. I mean, there ain't really much other to it than that. But not only was it tough luck for Brian, it also looks like it's tough luck for Baker as he looks to have sped on pit road. He seems to be going to the back right now. I wonder. Yeah, that's an unusual mistake out of Baker. That doesn't happen very often, so I'm really surprised about that.
Yeah, a untimely speeding penalty for Matthew Baker, but we'll be restarting with 16 laps to go here. We saw him move up to the front pretty quickly. I don't think it's going to take him any time at all to move his way back to the front, but a speeding penalty for Matthew Baker here. There's Heath Job rolling by with some damage as well. Not a good night for him. John Ward in the 92 has been sitting back so far in this one. Surprised we haven't seen it. That is last night's winner. His 7th PGR Intimidator Superspeedway Series win for John Ward. We haven't seen him up front at all in this race. He's just sitting there biding his time, waiting for his moment to come. Kind of similar to how he did last night, I would say, because although he was up front the whole time, at least from what I saw, he wasn't really leading most of it, but he ended up winning, and we'll see if he can go 2 nights in a row victories for the 92.
Yeah, kind of going back to what you guys both said. First on Baker, that's a tough luck there on the speeding penalty, but I think it comes from that, I don't want to call it a game, a little bit of gamesmanship, shall we say, getting onto pit road sometimes where the leader will speed the field up to try to get an advantage on pit road and gain some track position, gain some time interval on the guys behind him, and I think it might have bit Matthew Baker right there. If he gets back up to the front, we may have to ask him about it soon. And then, you know, going into John Ward, a 7-time winner, 2023 PGR champion, one of the winningest drivers in the series, and a very successful money racing driver. For him to sit back as long as he has, it's very interesting, although he is one of the ones that commented on the Xfinity Series car last night when we ran it, talking about the netcode, talking about the issues that we've had. Maybe that has gone into it. I remember him talking about it throughout the night last night and then in his post-race interview last night with us in the broadcast booth. So could go into his decision to lay back, but with 16 to go, you're almost out of time to do so. It looks like John Ward's going to start making his way forward as well.
Yeah, and up front, it's looking like Chase is going to take the top lane, try to split up the NBG teammates of Harper and Lee, which I think is the right move. I really do, because once those two, they're going to probably park it and just heat up both the middle and the bottom lane, and they're going to be in control from there. And then once a third lane starts to form, whoever's on the bottom is probably going to take the up, and they're going to have fresh temps, and they're going to run away with us.
Yeah, probably a wise move by Chase Mastretta, but at the end of the day, it's all situational. We're going to find out how it works out for him. He's got to trust that Jason Maines does not give Matt Lee a very good push here so he can clear down, but not too good of one, because that could lead to the opportunity of Matt Lee hopping up in front of Nathan Harper, where we are about to find out. We'll see what kind of launch Chase Mastretta gets with 16 laps to go. Only 3 cautions down in this race. Such clean racing we've had so far. A little bit of a checkup in the back right as I say that, but everyone's going to get away from it. The green flag's back out. Look how many cars stayed out here, Dawson. Or not stayed out, excuse me. They came back down, topped off for more fuel. Might be telling me we're in a bit of a fuel race here.
15 laps is my target lap, and with 16 to go, a lot of guys came back and may try to save. 1 to 2 laps is possible. 3 laps is stretching it. You heard Baker say it last night. But these cars, with the throttle inputs the way they are, with as much lifting as you can do in the draft, you can definitely save a couple laps, and that may be all these guys have to do that are about 15th on back here. Up front, though, track position is always king for the top 10 or 12 cars. Mastretta gets a really nice start, is going to drag those 2 NBG teammates down to the bottom line. Lee and Harper, neither wants to jump up, and that's because there is no momentum in the top lane whatsoever right here. Guys are bailing from it left and right with 16 laps to go. Perhaps the field begins to save fuel trouble out back. One car got off. It was McLean off the bumper of Jambroni. Everybody saves it. 15 to go. It's the calm before the storm.
Yeah, I think the reason that the NB... Oh, well, I stand corrected. They're going to the front. They want to lead. They think they're going to have enough gas to be able to make it to the end, or they think there's going to be another wreck here soon, which is going to throw the caution so they can come back down, fill up on gas, and be good all the way to the end, and probably a couple of green-white checkers. That move isn't looking like it's going to work for them because they've got no help right now, but it looks like 78 car is going to try to come up here and give Harper a little bit of a push once he gets there. J.R. Miller just hopped up, so that top lane's going to have some help up there, which is good for the MBG boys.
And now we've got a third line developing with Kenny McCullough and Sean Corbett. I will point out there's a notable exclusion from the front of this field, Josh Jambroni, who is now working his way back through the middle of the racetrack. I'm wondering if he had some sort of penalty on that pit stop as well, but he was all the way at the back, finding his way back through the field, trying to work his way back up front to assist his teammate Chase Mastretta. But right now, that third line is gaining ground. They're gaining ground quickly. Look at Kenny McCullough, Sean Corbett, Aubrey Thompson, Ron Morris, all leading the charge up there on the third line, heading out of 2.
Well, again, some of the veterans in the series, no, sorry to cut you off, Ethan, but some of the veterans in the series, Kenny McCullough, most of them, and here they come to the front. Aubrey Thompson's in that line. Again, a guy that's been racing for a while now. Sean Corbett, Ron Morris. Boy, they got up there quick. And I wanted to note really quickly on the NBG move as these guys go 3 wide for the lead. I've had this done to me. I've done this to other drivers before. I wonder if NBG knows they can't make it, so they want to push the pace now. They want to keep Nightmare guys from saving and Chase Mastretta, Vicente Guerrero, and Josh Jambroni. They want to keep Jason Maines and others, J.R. Miller and others from saving fuel to make it to the end. They know they're short, and they're going to make sure everybody else is short with them here at the front.
Yeah, that could very well be a possibility, but as you said, you think Josh Jambroni had a possible penalty. It's looking like he decided to fix the rear end damage that he had, which I think is making his car handle a lot better now, as he seems to be holding a much better line in the middle back there, trying to save as much gas as he can, so that way he's going to be good to the end.
In which case, that's probably a good move for Josh Jambroni. Like you said, the all brand new race car for the 49 Jam. Oh, contact up front. Matt Lee, Jason Maines are going to save it. Matt Lee sideways, dooring Jason Maines down the racetrack. They're able to save it. What a save by the 04 of Matt Lee. And it looks like as if nothing happened because, well, what a save we just had, and the lines are still no checkups, no nothing. It is all-out war here with 12 laps to go.
Yeah, Matt Lee, if you're in the 04 car right there, your heart kind of jumps into your throat, then it drops out of your stomach all at the same time as you're sideways one way, sideways the other way, trying to hang on to it. He does off the push of Nathan Harper, a very aggressive pusher. No surprise, he got him out of shape, and also not much help in that middle lane. There's about a car length separation between Harper and Miller. That third lane's gained cars and gained them in a hurry, but man, McCullough, Corbett, they stalled big time. That huge run they had evaporated as soon as Matt Lee and Nathan Harper and Chase Mastretta and Jason Maines got connected. They have very easily fended off this advance of the outside lane. Kenny McCullough starts to work backwards here. Not the way the 03 needs to be going right about now. J.R. Miller, does he jump out? Nathan Harper's going to stay in line. Jonathan Herbert, though, the 87 other car I'm watching come through the field in the middle lane.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the McCullough boys think that they have enough gas to be able to make it to the end with them running the third lane like this. Because if they don't, then they're not in a good position to save fuel right now. You want to be either on the bottom or in the middle lane, and definitely not leading the third. So I think we need to keep an eye on McCullough's gas to be able to finish off the race without having to make another pit stop.
I'll tell you what, I highly doubt we'd be racing the way we are right now if these guys did not believe they were good on fuel. Matt Lee clear, Chase Mastretta down to the bottom. He's going to lead that bottom line. Kenny McCullough trying to get clear. Nathan Harper, he doesn't have it. He thought about it. Thank God he thought better of it, because that was about to be a disaster. And I'll tell you what, guys, I hate to say it, but I'm expecting the field ender on the way. Just the way these guys are racing up front right now.
Well, the time bomb's been ticking for a while. The clock is getting closer and closer to zero. The amount of wrecks we've had, there have been 1 car, 2 cars. The fuse has been lit. It's just a matter now of when the bomb goes off here at the front of the field. And as for the fuel, I know that maybe they think they're good. I think it may be the opposite problem. I think maybe these guys know that most of these cars are short. Everybody's probably going to have to come back for a pit stop, even if you did decide to double pit right there like Kenny McCullough did. I almost wonder if even he knows, all right, I'm short on gas. I got to just go get track position so that when I pit with about 3 laps to go, or maybe even earlier than that I'm going to be out on track in front of the guys behind me. I'm going to have the track position when we're pretty much in an all-out sprint to the end, and also so I can have the shortest pit stop possible. Gain time, gain track position, although for Kenny, this is not going much worse than it was earlier. He is all the way back to the 3rd row. They're trying to mount another comeback, just not a lot of energy.
Oh, Matt Lee, contact! Chase Mastretta hooking Matt Lee down onto the apron. They're able to sort that out as well. That's going to clear Nathan Harper and J.R. Miller. Detrimental to the bottom line. Nathan Harper's got... Oh, Jeremy Osborne to the turn. Aubrey Thompson. And there it is. There is the big one. Josh Jambroni, Asher Little, Dylan Jones, Aubrey Thompson, Michael Wingo, Scott McLean, Jeremy Osborne, all involved in what appeared to definitely be the big one here with 9 laps to go. Lots of damage to the number 49 of Josh Jambroni. Asher Little without even a front bumper, anything on the front of his machine. Let's go ahead and take a look at what was officially our big one here on the night. Let's see what caused this one. So, lots going on up there in the 3rd line. This seems to all revolve around Jeremy Osborne and Aubrey Thompson. Let's see, let's back this up one more time. So, Aubrey Thompson, it looks like, trying to get under Sean Corbett here. Let's back this up. Sean Corbett, incredibly loose in the number 45 machine up top. See, J.R. Miller's washing up the racetrack. Oh, netcode. More netcode is what caused this crash. Netcode from Sean Corbett off of J.R. Miller in the 78 stacks everybody up. Josh Jambroni trying to avoid Jeremy Osborne. It looks like Osborne's just going to come up and hit Aubrey Thompson in the 15. And that is going to cause this massive crash starting right at the front of the field here. There's Devin Hernandez, the number 78, involved as well. Vicente Guerrero maybe getting a piece. Big hit by Jeremy Osborne, the number 41. Dylan Jones getting hooked at the last second, nosing it into the wall. Josh Jambroni spinning like a top. Aubrey Thompson drifting it out of there. And there we go, Dawson. More netcode.
Oh, man. This is a lot of things happening at once. It kind of even started even before the netcode. It looked like J.R. Miller and Nathan Harper, they both were clear to the bottom, and as Harper starts to move down, Kenny McCullough sees that, and I think he wants to go to the middle. J.R. doesn't move. I think it's J.R. and Kenny, to me, that actually initiate this netcode at the front. When J.R. is thinking about going to the bottom, Kenny wants to go to the middle. He's trying to force it, and yeah, there's some serious netcode there. The 03 and the 78 get some netcode contact, and from there, it stacks up the lines. Thompson's out of line. Osborne's on the brakes. And 4, 5, 6 cars going for the same bit of real estate. That's not going to work for any combination of cars. And unfortunate for these guys, and it is right in front of most of the field. I mean, Hernandez, Jambroni, Dylan Jones, Scott McLean, Michael Wingo. Some tough breaks for drivers there that had nothing to do with it. Asher Little, he had bad luck last night as he got in the wreck with Brian Hennings early in that race and got in the outside wall. Same fate tonight here in turn 2 as Little pounds the outside safer barrier. Tough break for him as well. And netcode up front turns into a big wreck out back. How many times have we seen that in this car recently?
Oh, we've seen it way too many times. This is getting really, really bad, but that takes a strategy play out of the game. Everyone's gonna be good on fuel for sure now, so it's gonna be pure hard racing to the end of this. This is gonna be really fun to watch.
Yep, no more fuel issues here. Lots of damaged race cars, though. That was a massive crash, and we now will go through all these guys that have significant damage. Asher Little is done for the night on that number 21 machine. I mean, that is probably not fixable damage. Josh Jambroni, Not good damage by any means right there in number 49, but he might be able to get away okay. Here's Hunter Hastings rolling away from it. Chase Mastretta all the way in the back now. Chase Mastretta was up front. Not sure if he had to pit for fuel or what, and all these other guys stayed out, but this caution was absolutely detrimental to Nightmare Esports. So if Vicente Guerrero is not even in the top 10, he's back in 12th now. Jambroni got taken out right there. Chase Mastretta all the way in the back. I mean, this caution kind of flipped this field up on its head.
It's a really tough break for Mastretta. Not sure what happened when we weren't looking. Penalty on pit road or something went amiss on the pit stop. And, man, he is way back in the field now, outside, even close to the top 20. What a tough break for him. Jambroni we saw getting the wreck. Vicente Guerrero actually picked up a piece of it as well. So those two had to fix some damage. And, yeah, talk about flipping the field on its head. Kenny McCullough benefits. He's now second. Ron Morris is now fourth. He benefits as well. Michael Wingo benefits big time. He's fifth. John Ward, series owner, he's sixth. Matthew Baker was at the back. He's seventh. Josh McCullough, a guy we haven't called his name all night, he's eighth. Vondell is ninth. I mean, a lot of guys that were deep in the field have a real opportunity to cash in on this late race unfortunate events for some of the guys that were running up front.
Yeah, speaking of Chase, it looked like he must have misjudged or had something go wrong when entering pit road. He ran to the back of Sean Corbett, it looked like, and that gave him some nose damage, so he decided to come down and fix all of that. But I wonder if the MBG boys are wanting to gamble here, because I don't know if they're going to be good for green-white checkers. They decided to stay out here, which I think that's the good move as of now, but you never know how many wrecks could happen. We could go into 3 green-white checkers, and that could probably put them short on gas. So this is going to be fun to watch. I guess strategy isn't all the way out of it yet.
I will say, just based on the tendencies of this series so far, I do doubt that we'd make it to 3 overtimes, but at the end of the day, it's super speedway racing on iRacing with the Xfinity cars laden with netcode, so who knows. But up front, it is Nathan Harper and Matt Lee on the bottom. Kenny McCullough and Ron Morris, a pair of teammates up here of MMS and NBG, going to be leading the lines, followed by Michael Wingo, who's made his way into the top 5. And how about it, John Ward in the 92? When we were talking about him earlier, just sitting back, biding his time. He missed that big crash, and now he sits in P6. Prime position here, coming to 5 laps to go.
Well, what a spot for McCullough Motorsports to be in. Kenny is second. Ron is fourth. Josh is eighth. Vondell is ninth. I mean, this is a serious turnaround of luck for McCullough Motorsports, and all of a sudden, now it looks like they may cash in a big way if they can get 3 or 4 of their cars into the money here tonight. We'll see. Late race restart coming up. Nathan Harper, Matt Lee, teammates on the bottom. Morris McCullough, teammates up top. 2v2 with 5 laps to go. Couldn't ride it any better.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what Chase Mastretta and Vince Guerrero can do. The Nightmare teammates, they got shuffled into the back there off that last pit stop, deciding to pit, probably fill up so that way they're good on green-white checkers. As Harper's about to lead him to the green, green flag just flew. Wow, the MBG boys got a great jump there. Harper and Matt Lee are clear by a mile. Matt looks like he's going to go up in front of Kenny, but that's going to leave Harper stranded on the bottom without help, which is not going to be good. Oh, Kenny's going to decide to push Matt, and Harper looks like he's just going to be content there on the bottom, having a Wingo push him, which tonight the bottom has been stupid strong.
Ooh, up front. Matt Lee, Kenny McCullough getting real sideways, but they are 3 cars clear. That bottom line doing absolutely nothing. Matt Lee, Kenny McCullough, and Ron Morris triple clear down to the bottom line. Those MBG boys, they were gone, which isn't good in the long run because that field's going to catch right back up to you, and that is what happened. Not good for Nathan Harper, but it ended up working out for Matt Lee, who took the outside line, kind of ditching his teammate. John Ward looking to the outside, so is Nathan Harper here. 4 laps to go, this time by. Lots of disorganization across the entire pack here heading into 1.
Oh, look out. Kenny's going to get split. Oh, Nathan Harper cuts him a huge break. Contact on the bottom. It was Josh McCullough in the back of his teammate, Ron Morris. Matt Lee to the bottom. This is a mad scramble up front. Matthew Baker, Vicente Guerrero, Mark Vondell trying to come forward further back. It's Kenny and Matt Lee. It's Nathan Harper and Ron Morris. They've crisscrossed now. Teammate pushing enemy, both lines. And John Ward waits in the wings. Matthew Baker waits in the wings. Vicente Guerrero does as well. Who makes the first big move? Coming back. 3 laps to go, and we get back to the line.
Oh, well, why don't you look at that? Baker and Jason Maines go top of 3 to make the move. But they had Chase right behind him, and that lines Chase and Vince up, which I think is going to be huge now. But Harper might start to check up that middle lane, trying to get Baker clear. Oh, he decides to hop down, try to give Baker better odds of clearing, but that's going to give Vince fresh temps to be able to push Ward up there, making it harder for them to clear. And Kenny hops up in front of Ward. They're going to have the run down the back straight. Harper's getting the push from Matt Lee. The teammates are back together.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the move really is here for the 14 and the 8 of Guerrero and Mistretta. They kind of are just locked down there in the middle. They need that outside line of Baker and Maines to fall back, and it kind of is doing so right now. Maybe Vicente Guerrero will hop up and ditch John Ward in the number 92, but up front it is all Kenny McCullough getting pushed by Nathan Harper, heading to 2 to go.
There goes Vince. Good call on that move to the outside.
Oh, Mistretta gets turned, and we're wrecking. Jonathan Herbert's around. They are not going to save it. Chris Melton, big crash. Chris Melton nosing it into the wall. Hunter Hastings involved as well in the number 44. We almost made it. Almost made it to the white flag. Then a big kind of miscommunication up front is going to lead us into overtime attempt number 1. Let's take a look at it. We saw this kind of originate around Jonathan Herbert in the number 87 machine. But it kind of started further up here. It looks like Ron Morris is riding real high up in the tri-oval. That's going to lead Mistretta to kind of hop up, and then Ron Morris just comes up and is going to netcode hook Mistretta a little bit, but that doesn't even matter to the number 87 of Herbert. He's going to get loose, spin it out, bounce off of Jason Maines, bounce off of Josh McCullough, spin it out again, and then Michael Wingo's going to door Chris Melton, and then Hunter Hastings, the innocent bystander here, nowhere to go in the number 44. Chris Melton right across his nose. Melton, big hit to the outside wall. Hunter Hastings as well.
Oh, man, we almost got to the white flag, and it's a tough break. It's more netcode, guys. I know Ron Morris is up the track, but if you go back and look, they're not touching each other. I think Ron might have turned it off at Chase's left rear by the time they made contact. Unfortunately, iRacing registers some contact, which has been the case in these cars around that left rear and right rear quarter panel. And, man, it's a tough break that goes backwards. Herbert, a guy I talked about earlier, tough break for him, but an even tougher break out back for Melton, for Hastings, and for several others here in the travel, just short of finishing this race.
You know, I wonder if netcode had to play a part in Herbert, too, because that really shot him down the track off of a very slight door of Jason Maines. That did not look how it normally would, which is kind of surprising to me.
That very well could have, and even though that would have been a massive bit of netcode for Herbert, it would not honestly surprise me if that is the case. But let's take one more look at this, maybe from a blimp view, and just keep an eye on the 87 of Herbert, because it looks like he just kind of came up, doored Jason Maines right there, and that's what started this one. I don't think we had any netcode involved in this one, but there was definitely some with Mistretta and Morris, and luckily they were able to save it, and this wreck happened behind them.
Oh, man, I mean, it's getting a little tiring to keep saying netcode in these cars, man, between last night, tonight, and earlier in this week as well. Just with the amount of times this has happened over the past several days, the complaints from drivers very real, and very often now. I experienced some of it the night before, and then last night we saw it a few times throughout the course of the evening, especially with the amount of cars we had on track last night as well. So some issues that potentially the sanctioning body, if we will have to fix over the next couple weeks, because I mean, these wrecks continue to happen. That's 3 tonight alone that have occurred based on netcode.
Yeah, like you said, this netcode is it's not been good. It's been awful, and this is the worst it's been at in a while. This past week we've had over 10 wrecks caused by netcode between R&R, the Intimidator Superspeedway series that PGR puts on every Thursday night, and tonight we've had 3. So this has been rough.
Yeah, it's definitely been rough, and it is unfortunate when you're just simply trying to race within your normal abilities and what you expect to have happen in a race car, and you can't do that because of netcode getting in the way of it, something that does not obviously exist in real life, but unfortunately exists in iRacing. And, you know, that ultimately comes down to internet issues, connectivity issues, this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, it's like this car that has the biggest problem with it, and it's extremely unfortunate. And we've raced this car 3-4 days in a row, and it's just been nonstop netcode issues 3-4 days in a row. And I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, PGR has taken it off the Intimidator Superspeedway Series rotation, at least temporarily, so we don't have to deal with any disasters like last night again when involving the netcode and everything of that nature. But up front, it's all Kenny McCullough, Nathan Harper, Vicente Guerrero's made his way to 3rd, Matt Lee 4th, Chase Mistretta 5th, Matt Baker 6th, J.R. Miller 7th, Jason Maines in 8th, Dylan Jones in 9th, and Sean Corbett will round out the top 10 here on this restart. So, Dawson, what are you expecting here? Are we going to have another wreck? Are we going to go to another overtime, possibly 3, or are we going to finish this one out right here, right now?
I'll tell you what, if that last restart was any indication, I mean, it was a mad scramble for about the first lap and a half just to find track position, and now with only 2 laps to go, your time is even less. So I got to imagine it's going to be similar to that, similar to kind of what we saw last night as well at the closing stages, where guys make some desperation moves, throw the Hail Mary pass, if you will, to try to make something happen and win this race. Remember, only a couple races left counting tonight in the regular season here in the Rush Hour Series. So if you want in to the championship race for this series, you got to get to victory lane at this point in the season. If you're not anywhere close in the points, you got to be able to get to victory lane, and that may mean a lot for some of the guys 10th, 12th, 14th on back, or even some of the guys here up front in this field that haven't had the luck that they've wanted or have just started racing in this series. So chaos, and more chaos, what I expect here on this restart. Will we make it to the white flag? I don't know.
I expect the MBG boys to get grouped up together and try to control this to the best of their ability to win this. I wouldn't be surprised if Harper tries to get up in front of Matt or something along those lines. Baker's kind of stuck there on the bottom behind Vince, and he's sandwiched in. He doesn't really have an out as the pace car's starting to pull off. It's going to be Kenny leading them to the green. They're heading to the restart zone. It's going to be good. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and hopefully there's not another wreck.
Well, we're going to find out right here, right now. Kenny McCullough going to be controlling this restart. We'll see how he launches in the box. Is he going to go early? He's going to wait for the green. He's going to go early, and Nathan Harper times it pretty well down there on the bottom, but just a little bit of a bad push maybe from Vicente Guerrero is not going to help him out initially, but Harper going to try and reel Kenny McCullough in the 03 heading into 1.
A big push bottom here. They are rolling in a huge way. Nathan Harper clear, and that's a good move right there. To the top, gives you some more options, gives you some more run here off turn number 2. But, man, did you really want to group up that bottom 3?
Oh, we're wrecking! He saved it. What a save!
Saved it.
What a save by Jason Maines. Kenny McCullough.
Through the middle.
Kenny McCullough through the middle on Nathan Harper. Matt Lee going to hop down to the bottom. We're wrecking. There it is. Chase Mistretta's going to go around. Sean Corbett's going to grow, and we're still saving it. We're still saving it. The yellow flag comes out.
Flag.
Oh, and we're still wrecking. Michael Wingo, Sean Corbett still wrecking in turn 4. Go ahead, Ethan.
I just want to say what a save by Chase. That was amazing. He was sideways, then more sideways, than that was impressive.
Well, chaos, and chaos, as Dawson Wise said, and we got chaos, and chaos with the first attempt at an overtime. Let's go ahead and take a look. This was so much going on. I want to back this up all the way back and see what the initial contact was on the backstretch. So let's see. We're sitting here 4 wide, too, after all this started. So it kind of started with Jason Maines, Matt Lee, if I remember correctly. So, oh, wow. Lots going on here. Okay, had to back this way up. So let's take a look at Jason Maines. I think this is slow-mo, so we can look at it a little bit better. Chase Mistretta, what caused this was Chase Mistretta pushing 4th in line is what caused this crap. This initial thing right here is going to hook Jason up the track into Matt Lee, into Kenny McCullough, and these guys all save it. What an awesome job by these guys to save this somehow and sort this one out. But we're going to keep this rolling and take a look at Chase Mistretta, who is currently sitting in the 4th position, mind you, after all this carnage happened. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. So everyone's trying to get back on track, sort themselves out here. We're 4 wide. Mistretta trying to give a little bit of room, yield to Josh McCullough in the number 1 on the bottom. Is going to end up turning Sean Corbett in the 45 down the track. They're sideways, still sideways, and these guys are just saving it 5 wide here. Mistretta's still wheeling and dealing, so is Sean Corbett. And Mistretta's going to end up hanging on to it. Sean Corbett is too. Look at him. He's doing everything he can. James Waring, a little contact with Ron Morris. Corbett's going to knock it off of Michael Wingo. And they straightened this out. Corbett's still putting the work in the 45, and then Michael Wingo going to come down the track and eventually hook him here, and he's still trying to save it. I mean, Sean Corbett has to be exhausted with the work he was just having to put in saving his race car.
There's a couple guys I think are exhausted after that little stretch, just a half a lap, and so much happened there on that half a lap, and now you kind of flip the field back on its head. As all that happened, it kind of flipped the field on its head in the moment. Now you flip it on its head again because a number of drivers came to pit road right there, banking on perhaps a regulation finish or one overtime. When you get into two, we said fuel would be an issue, and it is. And boy, has it flipped the entire running order right on its head with 2 laps to go.
That really makes me wonder if the Nightmare cars pitting earlier gave themselves enough for all 3 green light checkers. If there's another yellow, MBG might not be in as bad of a spot as what we might think.
That very well could be the case. I mean, looking at the leaderboard right now, Vicente Guerrero, Josh McCullough, Chase Pastrana, John Ward, J.R. Miller's the top 5. We're still looking at replays of this. We'll take you back live shortly. I want to see a couple onboard views right here. Let's first get one with Sean Corbett because this was thrilling watching him save his race car. In this number 45 machine, there he goes, spinning, working it. He's still working it, doing everything he can. Unfortunately, Michael Wingo comes down and takes him right there. Just a little, one too many right there for Sean Corbett to try and save. What a job by Sean Corbett in the 45 machine. And Chase Mastretta. Let's take a look at Chase Mastretta as well. What he saw through this. We're going to back this all the way up, actually. We're going to go back to the origin of all of this chaos on the backstretch. So this is Mastretta hitting Jason Maines, a little offset. And they all somehow saved it. You see Kenny McCullough received a little bit of damage from that up there in the 03. We missed that the first time around. And I'm not sure if these guys know they're 4 wide or what, but it ends up being Mastretta into the side of 45, working that wheel, saving it for all he is worth, and he saves it as well. I mean, just what a job by these guys saving their race cars. My jaw is on the floor with what we just saw here.
I mean, there's been several moments tonight where I've felt the same way. I felt like guys were going to wreck, and they ended up keeping it straight. That's another one right there, and it was a really tough situation. So it's not true 4 wide. It's kind of that offset 4 wide and even offset 3 wide, where you don't get a spotter call for that if you're in the car. You know, if you're the top car or if you're the bottom car, all you're hearing there is 2 wide, when realistically you're 3 wide. There's another car out there and there's another car down below you, but you don't hear that from your spotter, and especially if you're, you know, maybe on a narrow display or one single display, you can't see that to your left or to your right. So you're basing it on what you hear from the spotter and also your instinct and where that guy was last time you saw him. It's a tough break for everybody involved, but man, great job by both those cars, the 45 and the 8, to keep it going, and also everybody behind them for not, A, wrecking behind them, but also, B, not running them over when they got sideways for the most part. And now as we get ready for a restart, and the field again flipped on its head, guys like Dylan Jones, Michael Wingo, Ron Morris back in the race, and, oh, by the way, the demise of Brian Hennings was extremely premature. He runs 9th right now in the 74. The damage earlier, not enough to bury the 74 machine, as he's still got to look at this one as well.
Why don't we take a look who's starting on the top lane in the lead right now? It's going to be Josh McCullough. He was the winner last week, and he's proven he can win it. I think he's going to go out here and try to do it again, but Vince is going to be a big part in trying to stop that.
He definitely is, and we were looking at all these guys from that rear view of the field here. So many damaged race cars up here. Josh McCullough with some damage, even though he should be okay. Michael Wingo's got significant front damage. See Josh Ambroni in the back with a lot of damage. It's going to be quite... Oh, there's J.R. Miller. Going to be the lead pusher. Josh McCullough here with a caved rear end. So this is going to be a strange dynamic with all these damaged race cars. And do these guys have the fuel? Have they saved enough? Are we going to see guys run out? Brian Hennings getting lifted off the ground by Ambrose Knabel heading into the restart. But here we go. Vicente Guerrero going to lead him into the zone. We're back racing here at Talladega. Second attempt at overtime. A good jump on the bottom for Vince, but not good enough. Josh McCullough's going to have his right rear heading into 1.
Well, he has his right rear, but he doesn't have as much help. The help's much more connected on the bottom. It's John Ward, series owner. It's Dylan Jones. It's Ron Morris. Really great line of cars, and they're going to push Vicente Guerrero clear. Now, does he take the Nathan Harper approach? Does he try to jump on Josh's nose? No, sir. He's going to stay on the yellow line, stay on the bumper of John Ward. The help's still not there on the top. It's disintegrating in a hurry for Josh McCullough. He can see the cars going by him on the bottom. Still no help as the field works up the banking in 3.
Yeah, I think Vince is just going to try to stick down here with how dominant this bottom line has been. And unless Josh gets some huge run, I don't know if he's going to have much for him with the help that he has. He doesn't have hardly any.
Yeah, not much help at all, but he is still real. And Vicente Guerrero back in. It's kind of a 6-car breakaway right here. Michael Wingo, the damage machine, is not helping out these guys behind. Brian Henning's damage as well. So that's leading to this little breakaway we have in the top 6 guys. Most likely this race will be decided between these guys, but they're starting to get that run back. Look out for Jason Maines and Nathan Harper right here heading into 2.
Yeah, hang on just a minute because that line is coming. They're coming quickly. Maines Deeks goes to the middle. He hangs out Ron Morris. Now here's the problem, though. Jason's got nowhere to go. Field works down the Alabama gang super stretch. Trouble out back. Never mind. Vicente Guerrero, Josh McCullough, side by side. Maines jumps top side. Nowhere to go. Drag race. McCullough versus Guerrero. Here comes Jason Maines.
Let's take this one home right here, right now. Vicente Guerrero, Josh McCullough, Jason Maines, dooring him down there. J.R. Miller trying to hop up to the 3rd. He's going to think better of it. That's all Vicente Guerrero in the number 14 machine getting the push from John Ward. Contact between Josh McCullough and John Ward. They're starting to wreck. They save it again. Vicente Guerrero still holding it. J.R. Miller gets wrecked. John Ward gets wrecked. This is going to be an easy win for Vicente Guerrero for Nightmare Esports winning here tonight. Josh McCullough in third, They're second. It's just so much going on now. Look at this wreck heading into turn number 1. Josh McCullough second, Nathan Harper third, Dylan Jones in 5th, Kenny McCullough rounding out the night in 5th position. Vicente Guerrero, win number 1 on the season in Friday night rush hour. What a win for Vince here.
A guy that loves these cars, a guy that won a league championship in this very car at this very track a while back. And he gets a win tonight, and that was vintage stuff. Trust the bottom line, trust your help. It works out for him, and he gets some lucky help out back as well. Now, I'll tell you what I noticed there. A big win for Vince. Josh McCullough got awfully close, and Nathan Harper, if he has another 100 or 150 feet, he may just steal this one. He came out of a cannon in the tri-oval and ends up 3rd. Man, he wishes he had one more lap, even about another 100 or 200 feet.
Yeah, it looks like Harper might have hooked, who is that? J.R. Miller, so he might not end up keeping that. If I'm not sure about it, like what the EOL rules are in here or anything like that, but he was split in the middle, and there might not have been enough room causing him to hook JR, which is what caused the big wreck there at the end.
Yeah, we're taking a look at this right now. We saw the contact with Nathan Harper a little bit. I don't really know. To me, it was kind of like racing to the checker flag. He is getting pushed by Baker a little bit. He's off of him. J.R. Miller kind of coming down the racetrack across Nathan's nose. Not much can be done right there for those guys. But what a crash out back. Goodness gracious. Let's take a look at that hit that just happened. That was a massive crash here. Let's take a look at the starter cam, actually see what the flagman sees in this one.
Yeah, I was looking at bad camera angle there. Sorry to Nathan for thinking that was on him. It looked like J.R. Miller just kind of drove down into him, which Nathan was clearly there. He established his spot, and he was going to push Josh, hopefully to the win, but he just couldn't get there without J.R. hooking across his nose.
Yeah, and then this is Matthew Baker in the number 5 machine with the massive hit, getting bounced around, coming to the line. A tough end of the night for Matthew Baker, someone that was definitely a threat to win this race. But we're going to go ahead, take this back live, and go through your final results here. For race number 4, Friday night rush hour, Vicente Guerrero wins the race. Josh McCullough in 2nd. Nathan Harper 3rd. Dylan Jones in 4th. Kenny McCullough 5th. Ron Morris Jr. in 6th. Matt Lee 7th. Devin Hernandez, good run for him in 8th. Brian Hennings 9th. And Chase Mistretta will finish 10th.
Mark Vondell from McCullough Motorsports in 11th. Matthew Baker in 12th. Michael Wingo 13th. J.R. Miller 14th. And Hunter Hastings in 15th. It's James Wagner that goes 16th tonight with Sean Corbett 17th. Aubrey Thompson 18th. Jonathan Herbert 19th. And Papa Maines, Jason Maines finishes in 20th.
Yeah, these guys back here had a rough run. Josh Jimbroni, he got wrecked a couple times early on. He finished 21st. And Ward, he was in a great spot on coming into the trial. He got wrecked, caused him to get 22nd. Ambrose, 23rd. Christopher Melton, 24th. James Waring, 25th. Heath Job, 26th. Asher Little in 27th. Jeremy Osborne finished 16 laps down in 28th, as long as Scott McLean, he finished in 29th. Derek Rowley, he got wrecked out pretty early and finished in P30. And Merck, he got killed in the first caution, and he decided to help out and do race control on the night.
Yeah, a tough run for those guys. Well, stick with us real quick. We're going to go ahead and grab your top 3 for interviews here tonight. We will be right back. Welcome back to race number 4 of Friday Night Rush Hour. We have received your top 3 for interviews. We're going to go ahead and talk to Nathan Harper, who finished 3rd tonight, and Dawson Wise stands by with him.
Yeah, hey Nathan, it's the voice in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Well, a very chaotic finish, as we've come to expect here in the money racing scene lately, and saw you make a bit of a bonsai move there in the tri-oval. All is fair. Excuse me, coming to the checkered flag, and I'll tell you what, I saw at 250 more feet. I think you win this one. Take us through that last little stretch and the chaos at the end.
Well, shoot. I mean, hang on. Okay, so it was on the back stretch, and we were all shuffling, and then I was just trying to find what lane was working, and I eventually got myself to the middle, and boom, we're staying there, and then coming to the line, I'm trapped, and I was just okay, we just gotta whatever happens, and I mean, shoot, the gap opened. I mean, I'm looking at it right now, the 78. I mean, I guess he kind of reacted to the 92 coming up. I don't know if that was netcode or he just came up. He goes up to the 3rd lane, and there I am on the bottom, and he comes back down, and people are on the radio are saying, "Oh, he wrecked him." And I mean, I don't think it's my fault. I mean, I saw the gap. I even followed him up and then beat him to the middle. So, I mean, shoot, I don't even know if I'm going to get my money, but if I don't, I feel like I got straight up robbed. I don't think I did anything wrong there, but if we get P3, then heck yeah, I'll take it, because after those cautions came out, that screwed us on the fuel mileage, and we had to come down and pit, and I think I restarted like 17th or something, but yeah, I'm going to be pretty irate if I get robbed on that deal, but hey, at the end of the day, I can't make the call, but that's my input on it.
To me, a total scramble to the line, and I felt like it was a fair move. I felt like the gap was there, but again, just total conjecture until we hear anything official. But nonetheless, look, we're coming down the days until the PGR 500, and again, another two-parter. I asked this question last night to Matthew Stallnick. I'm going to ask you the same question. Number one, can we expect to see you in next week's event? Number two, a race like this, I know it's not the same car, but can you take anything as a driver from this race into the events next week? Can you take any momentum? Kind of tell us what you can use this race for in terms of preparation for next week.
The event, you mean like the feature, right? Or
the PGR 500 just in general, yeah.
Oh, shoot, probably not. I mean, next gens, man, I mean, I can't control well in them, let alone even get up to the front. I mean, I'm being straight up. You got to be better with the pushes. I can kind of work on that, but I mean, I don't know. It might be a crap show. Next gens are usually crazy, big runs, people get impatient. But I don't know on that. I mean, I'm gonna I've already sent my entry in, so just hope for the best. And then with tonight, I mean, shoot, I guess you can't trust people to go green, and that's what screwed us on the fuel mileage. So I guess next time, you know what? I don't care. I'm pitting. So I guess that was my lesson learned there. That's really the only thing I can get out of it, because Xfinity and the package is so different. I mean, you can't really. The controlling the race and the bump drafting are way different, and that's like the main thing I get from super speed racing, controlling and how your pushes are and all that.
Absolutely. It's still a good run for you tonight. A third place again, about another 200 feet. We probably could be talking to you in victory lane here tonight, but nonetheless, it's a podium finish. It's a good night for you here in the Friday Night Rush Hour series. So before we let you go and celebrate and obviously take a breather after a chaotic finish, who'd you like to thank or shout out?
Yes, the guys I worked with tonight, Matt Baker and Matt Lee. Like I said, we had something going on, and they both got screwed out of the deal, and I think it was top 7 or so. I think maybe Lee might have cashed either top 6 or top 7, but I know Baker got screwed big time on that. And we worked with some. Let's see. We worked with somebody. I'm sorry. Brian Hennings. There you go. Sorry, I'm bad with names. And we worked with him, and he got screwed early on. He actually rebounded pretty nice at P9. And everyone who showed up tonight, and you guys for broadcasting.
Well, thanks for talking to us for a second. Go enjoy that third place finish. Go celebrate. We will talk to you soon, perhaps even next week during the PGR 500.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
That was Nathan Harper. Now, I will say I did speak to Josh McCullough. Apparently, he is having some mic issues right now, so we are going to go ahead and bring up Vicente Guerrero, tonight's winner. Vince, Landon, Ethan, and Dawson in the booth. Do you have a copy? Vince does not have a copy. That is unfortunate.
Yes, I do.
There he is. Vicente Guerrero, tonight's winner. In race number 4 of Friday Night Rush Hour, what a race by you. You kind of lost your teammates throughout this one, even though y'all were working together pretty well in the beginning. Walk us through your race here and how you won the race.
Tell you the truth, I don't remember what happened. And somehow I just ended up front and at the right time. Yeah, I don't know. That late caution there, Chase got tangled up, and there was a late caution, and I was able to be up front. I had Ward behind me at the end, and I know he's a good pusher, so I just stuck to the bottom and brought it home. I don't know what happened there at coming to the line. Did they get tangled up? Somebody get turned? I don't know. I haven't seen it.
There was a contact kind of fourth, fifth around that position when J.R. Miller and Nathan Harper kind of took out everybody right there except you, Josh McCullough, and Nathan Harper coming to the line. So I even said it on the call, it was a pretty easy win for you, but nonetheless, these races aren't easy, especially when it comes to this series, because there's oftentimes a lot of clean racing. We didn't get to a green flag pit stop tonight like we have in previous races, but how was the strategy for you out here tonight? Did it ever get confusing at any point with all the different gas strategies? Are you going to make it on fuel or anything of that nature? Were you yourself good on fuel there coming to the line?
Yeah, definitely. I had plenty of fuel. I had like 4 gallons coming to that last green white. But the strategy wise, I was trying to fight with myself during the race. Like, I want to take 4 tires. You know me. I take 4 tires and jump to the back and fill it up and just chill. But, what happened yesterday at PGR, so track position was key. So I was just trying to stay up front as much as I can, even though I'm taking a risk, something happening up front, and then I get taken out because people are just keep driving through. But it was a risk that paid off for me tonight.
Well, it definitely did. A great race ran by you here tonight. Go ahead and give out your thanks and your shout-outs before you go celebrate.
First of all, I want to thank you guys for broadcasting. Can't wait to watch that one back. I want to thank all my teammates tonight at Nightmare Esports, Chase and Jim Brony. And I also want to thank my folks out there in Arizona, my mom and dad. Hopefully I could send them the link so they could watch this one back. And I want to thank my family here also. My wife for letting me do what I do sometimes at nighttime, pretty late, but we get it done. And the league here with John Ward for what he's done and Rush Hour and the series. I don't know what the points. Hopefully I make the top 12, but we'll keep marching forward.
Well, there we go. That is Vicente Guerrero in the number 14, tonight's winner. Congrats again. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, Landon.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. We had a pretty good race here tonight. This was, honestly, and this is pretty good to say this, the most crash-ridden race we've had so far, and that's really, it wasn't even that bad. It was a great race by my standards. Every race we've had so far this season, this series has been fantastic. What are y'all's thoughts?
We had some cautions tonight, and it ends up being a 7-8 caution race, but it didn't feel like it to me. A lot of, little green flag runs 7, 8, 9 laps, and, all the cautions we had were 1 or 2 cars until obviously the last couple were a little bit bigger, but it never really felt like we got out of rhythm. A lot of good racing, a lot of competitive racing, and these guys were on edge of handling at all times. Everybody trying to get a win, everybody trying to get that last ounce of momentum. As we head into next week, for some guys, this may have been their last opportunity before they grit up in their heats next week or middle of next week to run the PGR 500 event. This may have been their last chance to get momentum, get some seat time. Although the car is different, the momentum, I think, is the same. So, great race tonight. The cream rose to the top, and in the end, it's Vicente Guerrero, a much-needed win for him this season for Nightmare Esports.
Yeah, I think it was a really fun race to watch. Like you said, it was an 8 caution race, but it sure didn't feel like it with all the hard racing that they had going on. It was a good race, great race to watch. Vince said he hopes he was in the top 12. Sorry about that. The top 12. It looks like he's sitting P9 in points, so as long as he has a decent run next week, he should be all right.
And that is good news for Vicente Guerrero, tonight's winner. Well, we appreciate all of you out there for tuning in to Friday Night Rush Hour. Tune in next Friday again, if it is happening next Friday. I'm not sure with the scheduling of the PGR 500. It'll either be the next Friday or 2 Fridays from now. What should be, I believe, the final race of the season for the Friday Night Rush Hour series. Tune in for that. And as always, tune in for the PGR 500 starting next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're taking Friday off. And then we will have Saturday and Sunday, a full week-long event here on PGR eSports for y'all to watch next week. Well, like I said, we appreciate you tuning in to us. Congrats again to Vicente Guerrero for winning tonight's race. Thanks to Dawson and Ethan in the booth. Apologies right there. Some technical difficulties just happened right there. That was very strange. Sorry for that. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you watching. Tune in next time into PGR eSports. Tune in for some racing every night of the week at this point. If you want to get your racing fix, you know where to go for it. Thanks for watching. We hope you all have a very, very good night.